air basketball. You gave a 6-year-old boy his Laker dream. And we both know, no matter what I do next, I'll always be that kid with the rolled up socks, garbage can in the corner, 5 seconds on the clock, ball in my hands. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
How much more do you want from me?
More.
How much more successful do you want me to be?
More successful.
How many records can my records break?
More records.
But I'm the best.
But are you a different animal and the same beast?
What the does that mean, Kobe Bryant?
You're welcome.
And welcome to the show.
Here we are.
17 Waverly podcast.
Episode 52.
52 for those of you that don't know Spanish.
I feel like there was like a lot of context clues for you to get.
Yeah, of course, but you know, there's a lot of there could be some
song.
There could be some
Dose, even like the
some
most
country people that don't know Spanish. You know what I mean?
for Christ.
Come on, man.
We
know what I
are. It's Ram, Gab, and Angelo. We are here. It's episode 52. I want to start off with the most recent news. Obviously, I just played a couple of some of my favorite clips from Kobe. He passed away this past weekend on Sunday. He was 41 years old. He passed away in a helicopter accident with his daughter, 13, Gianna, and I believe it was 7 other people.
Yeah, 9 total.
9 total.
So, obviously, it's sad news, and obviously, this is not a sports podcast, but Kobe Bryant was somebody who transcended not just sports, but he basically, everybody knew who he was. Everybody knew Kobe Bryant. And this is one of the bigger celebrity deaths that I've witnessed or have experienced in my life, just because of how big he was.
For sure.
Because of how big he was in my life in terms of a role model and like an iconic person in my life. And I was telling this to a bunch of my friends these past couple days that the more I think about Kobe, the more I realize that I think it's maybe him and 2 other people in terms of a celebrity / athlete, whatever you want to call them, that their death would affect me this way. And one of them is obviously Kobe, and then the other would be like maybe Derek Jeter, and the other would be The Rock.
Right.
In terms of just because like they were in their prime, and I grew up watching them at their best, but not just because they were good, but because they were good at being good, if that makes any sense.
I get what you mean.
Were just stellar personalities. I mean, Derek Jeter was always avoided the limelight, never did anything crazy. Kobe, for the most part, he had maybe that one little blip in his career, but other than that, he was just he was just a winner. He worked harder than anybody that I had seen. And any time that I read that Kobe was, always practicing early, getting up early, and always doing the extra to be the best that he was.
Right.
And that's something that you can't really find that everywhere.
No, you got to commend that for sure, and that's what so many people have said, is that he was the hardest worker, and it didn't matter if you were better than him. He was just going to simply outwork you, and that's what made him such a great athlete and just such a great, like, just honestly person. You hear so many stories that are coming out in the last few days of how much advice he gave to not just basketball players but just other athletes. I mean, Alex Rodriguez was on talking about it. PK Subban talked about it. This guy really just opened up his heart, and he really made time for which seems like everybody.
Right.
So I think that's what we're seeing so much coverage on this. And honestly, it doesn't feel like 3 days at all. It feels. It almost feels like it's been a week. It's such a hard thing to process.
Yeah. That's anything. That's it's definitely been a tough past few days. I've been on Twitter a lot since Sunday, and there'll be moments where I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna put the phone down and not scroll Twitter anymore because I just keep seeing videos of him, of other celebrities telling stories of him, people posting montages of him and his life and things that he said, and there's moments where I'm watching them and then I get choked up and then I'm like, you know what, I can't keep watching this anymore because I'm just gonna I'm staying sad. I'm not getting any better. So then I'll put the phone down and then I realize, then like an hour later I'm like, you know what, but I want to watch some more of these videos because I want to hear what other people are saying. I want to see the things that people are posting about him that maybe I learned something new about him that I didn't know.
Exactly.
So it's just been a really weird up and down type of scenario, but that's it sucks and it's unfortunate. And the reason why I bring him up in here mostly because this is a TV and movie podcast, but he was an Oscar winner.
He did.
He was also
True.
I think he won an Emmy as well.
Case.
He won an Emmy as well. So
he actually has some acting chops too on those little comedic videos.
Yes.
The little clip that I played in the beginning, the commercial with Kanye. Just one of the funnier commercials you'll watch just because of how Kobe is, and obviously Kanye is pretty funny too.
Yeah. The one you showed me with at the table with the 81 olives.
Yeah, the one where he's Jalen Rose.
That's
comes
just
in
straight gold.
The 81 olives. It's just the guy just had so much talent. Super smart too. Knew like 5 languages.
What was speaking of languages? What was that clip that you showed that when he was answering in Spanish about Spanish speaking fans?
Something about because I think he was speaking to the fans in LA that are like a lot of the Mexican fans because there's a lot of Mexican fans in LA. Mm-hmm. So I think he was just kind of just saying talking to them personally. I think because there are a ton of heavy Laker fans that are Hispanic.
Yeah.
So I think he's just and because he can speak Spanish, why not? You know what I mean? Why not give them that personal message that
right?
Because you could speak it. My thing is on the same page with both of you. Everyone knows I don't follow sports. I don't fucking think about sports. Right. But yes, I was on Twitter. I saw a text from Lil Nas X, and he was just said and kind of tweeting something roughly about it. And my instinct reaction was I actually said out loud on the train where I was seated, I said, not Kobe.
Right.
And as someone who doesn't watch sports, for that to be my instinct thing to say, and I started feverishly looking, trying to look it up, this isn't not what I think it is, not what I think it is, not what I think it is.
Right.
And then you see the report from TMZ, fuck TMZ. And
right. Yeah.
Fucked up.
We'll bring that up too because that's a problem.
And then I was maybe I don't know. Is that a controversial thing to say? My immediate reaction was, for at least in that point in time when all we knew was Kobe, we didn't know yet about Gianna. My instinct was denial and absolutely no. But then it was almost so fucking damn it. So God, that was your plan all along, was to bring in this soul, make him a living legend, inspire millions of people, and then take him out so he could be 41 years young forever.
Right.
To do one of because that there are those people who change the world or do all these amazing things and they're taken out so before their time.
Right.
Princess Diana, Selena, Michael Jackson, they do these amazing things and they go so young.
Yep.
Prince technically too.
Yeah.
And it's so when I saw this thing when I saw that Kobe was dead, I was like, it's not that I accepted it or I was or thought that's how it should be. But to me, just on a spiritual level, if we're trying to find reason to it, I was just damn. So is that really that's what you had there?
Right.
Gianna and his 13-year-old daughter, that's a whole other bag of cats.
That's a whole other bag.
Right. I think I struggle with that more than Kobe.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
That was from when I heard the news I mean, obviously, Kobe is losing Kobe is big, and especially for someone like me who idolized him growing up. But I think what really kind of drove the knife in the terms of how rough this was for all of us to hear the news, it was that wow, like he also, like his daughter also went with him, and then I think a little bit to me, and maybe this could be a little bit selfish, but I think it's even sadder that the daughter that left with him was the one that was going to be possibly like the female Kobe in terms of the game.
I think not even like if she would. I think not even if she would have or wouldn't have. It's the fact that that's what she wanted.
Yes,
When
she wanted to follow in his footsteps.
And I think that also speaks to. I know, like, it's an entertainment podcast. We're not meant to be political, but I still think it's also. I think it's important to highlight because one of these things I think it's super unfair if it goes unnoticed. A big reason why I asked about the Spanish thing was he acknowledged he had Spanish-speaking fans, knew the language, and spoke to them on how he appreciated them. He had 4 daughters, and then there was this one daughter who was very adamant of continuing his legacy and how how supportive he was of that.
Right.
When people asked him, like, "What, don't you want a son?" He was like, I mean, you saw the Girl Dad video.
The Girl Dad video.
And he's like,
the Girl Dad video is the video that's been kind of going around.
And he was just like, of course, like, yes, I have daughters. Like, I would be a dad to daughters. Like, I would have 5 more if I could.
Yeah.
And that he went on Twitter to defend gay people and going against gay slurs.
Right.
When we all know that in sports, more than anywhere, that's a big
thing, big trash talking point.
Especially because he had that one moment where he got in trouble for that.
For calling a ref a faggot or something like that.
Yeah.
And he owned it, acknowledged it, and said that he learned and grew, and he expects the same from others.
Right.
Now, my thing is, for a soul like that, again, didn't follow sports, but I think to a degree, regardless of if you follow a person's craft or know what their achievements or talents are, I think regardless, energetically, you know a good soul when you see one.
Yeah.
And so I think you automatically just go to mourn it when they're gone or when God calls them home.
Right.
So for me, and then again, the same thing, because I didn't really know too much about him, I started looking through texts and articles and reading more about his life. And I'm like, son of a bitch. This soul is gone, and it's tragic, and it's been like a coping thing over these past 3 days. But hot damn, if we're going to really claim how much people like iconified this man and really were admired him and were inspired by him, then I almost feel like it's a responsibility to live by his example of the message and the energy that he lived his own life by. I think if you saw a man that was pro girls in sports, pro girls, period. If he was standing up for the little guy when it wasn't expedient or politically correct to do so, especially in the area or field that he was in, if he was, embracive of all humans and inspiring people to do the best that they could and to try and be brave, then holy fuck, everyone channel that energy into yourselves. I think that's the best way to honor a soul like that if they were taken too early.
Right.
Is to really live by that and kind of be inspired by that even if he's gone. Because how better do you honor someone and keep their spirit alive when they're gone?
Than to follow in his advice. Follow that
advice, follow his energy, keep it alive. Not just, and I agree. When people tweeted that thing of like, don't let the tradition die of like when kids throw something and yell Kobe.
They yell Kobe.
Oh, absolutely.
Do that. Absolutely
that.
Keep that alive. But keep his message alive. Keep his energy alive. Keep alive what he stood for, what he believed in, and what he did with his own time, and even after retirement, dedicating himself to underprivileged kids. Dedicating himself to his charities, to making sure that kids were being inspired to do the best that they could, and how much he donated to it's insane.
Yeah, and the thing that a lot of people have mentioned is that what's unfortunate also about him passing at this age is that Kobe was this guy that when he played, he was just literally like the fiercest competitor you can be in what he was doing.
That's what made people hate him, because he was just so fierce.
Yeah, he competed with anyone and anything about everything, and then he retires from the game. He literally gave everything he had, and even in his last game, he scored 60 points.
Oh,
and
so sick.
and even in that last game, after that, he became this calm, almost completely different person.
Like the sage.
Like he
type.
became this saint after this. As soon as that game ended, he just becomes this completely different person. But
I think
that's what he gave himself up. Like he said, "All right, my competing is done. Let me now give the world everything that I stand for. That doesn't have to do with competing."
But you want to know what I also think that as fill your cup until it runneth over. He filled up his cup.
Yeah.
What was in the cup was his. Now that it runneth over, what is excess is for everyone else.
Right, just gives it to everybody else. It's for
He
everyone.
gave it to everyone else. He had his. I feel like he had his goal. He had his vision. He lived in the present. He lived to his vision and his goal and what he wanted to be. He did it.
Yeah.
And when it was done, then it
Right.
was time for the next vision, and then to embody the energy of what that next mission was.
And it's
so
sad because
God said he did.
The
that
next
wasn't the
vision
plan.
would have been even bigger. I mean, I think he would have done very, very big things. He was a big ambassador for the game of basketball all over the world.
Yeah, he loved it. He loved the game.
So he was, literally beloved everywhere. So, he would have brought the game to all different countries that didn't have it. He really embodied just such an incredible person. So, and then, in this kind of scenario is where I think, like, it's just so crazy how the world is, how the universe is, and that somebody can be such a good person and they get taken away early, you know what I mean?
Very
But then
early,
there's people that
Suck.
that are really trash, and they're live and kicking till the very end.
Very sad.
Wow, I know we are an entertainment podcast, and we swear we will get to actual reviews.
We will get there.
there. But but to get existential for just a second, the way I see that is maybe because those souls just got it so well.
Yeah.
They came, they knew exactly how this fucking thing works.
Right.
They knew goodness, they knew kindness, they knew determination, they knew courage. Courage is so underestimated, is underrated. And I think when they do all they do and they inspire and they did all the thing, I think it's like you checked your list.
Right.
Checked all
I
the
think when it
boxes,
comes to those other people we talk about that suck, and I have many in mind in the public sphere, it's like, well, that soul has not evolved. It has not practiced charity. It has not practiced kindness. It has not practiced forgiveness, to be a good neighbor, to practice compassion, empathy. That thing still needs to evolve. Will it? Who knows?
Yeah.
But it's still that it has work to do on Earth. What is life if not the test of the evolution of the soul?
Right.
So I said, I'm sorry, we're
deep.
gonna get
That's
existential, but
Shit.
it to me it's since I started exploring those concepts, like that's what it's always meant to me, and why I think I felt I can find. Not that I can. I'm still struggling with the Kobe death, but I almost am a place of understanding with it because I'm like, that was a great soul,
Right.
And
Absolutely.
I think it, and you cannot say, despite dying at such a young age and so tragically, that you can't say, to some degree, life well lived, maybe mission accomplished.
Right.
Now, again, Gigi, that's something that I'm still praying on. I still don't know how to process that, a 13-year-old child with a dream. Yep. But if there's something that you can take from that at all,
That's something that I'm not. I don't even in my own head. I'm not even trying to understand. It's just I'm letting it just. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Because if I try to think and understand it, every outcome in my own head is it doesn't make sense.
Right.
It doesn't. But but then you have to take it away from the legendary aspect and put it to how often this happens across the globe every day.
Yeah, of course.
Exactly.
How many other 13-year-old girls, 15-year-old girls,
Yes.
5-year-old boys, 5-year-old
Absolutely.
girls
Yep.
that get their lives taken before they ever get a really chance to explore outside the boundaries of their block.
Right.
So I think I spoke like to how to honor a soul like Kobe. Maybe I think there's an equal element of how to honor a soul like Gigi. That girl had a dream. She had a vision of what she wanted to become. What's everyone else's excuse? Fear is not I think if anything, and I think you've heard it multiple outlets already, fear is not an excuse. Practice courage. You don't get all the time in the world. Right. 75 is a statistic, not a promise.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't waste a day. And it's funny, we actually had a person at work, a photographer at work today. He's very famous. He's photographing around the world for 50 years. He photographed at Princess Diana's wedding.
Oh, sick.
And all these big events, he said, that one of the biggest things he's taken away, he said, don't waste a single day because the time is so fast. Yeah. So I think for Gigi, you're right. I can't make sense of it. Right. The only thing I can take away of is, again, the repetition. You're not promised all the days. Right. So if there's something that you want to get about the business of doing, just jump and start doing it. Yeah. It's not going to be, maybe you're not going to be Kobe Bryant famous. Right. But I think
my takeaway
get about the business of doing it.
My takeaway from all of this is to, and I was up until this point, I really hadn't really listened to any of Kobe's advice, and I really should have. But as I've gotten older, you kind of get away from the things that you were watching and did as a kid. But I'm gonna this really kind of put things into perspective for me, and I'm trying now to not waste my time with things that don't matter, and I'm gonna really focus and work hard on the things that I want to be good at. 100%. Because that's what he did, and he became one of the best, arguably to some people the best at what he did. So, and that was because he was getting up early, doing what he had to do, practicing,
exactly,
spending his time on perfecting his craft, and that's what I'm going to focus on doing. I'm going to read. Figo, do you have any last things you want to say?
It's just about? No, I mean, we really touched on a lot of things. I think all of the points that Gabe made, all the points that you're making right now, right. I could echo those remarks. It's just you just hear all of these great stories about him. I was reading stuff that he would do a bunch of like stuff with like kids that were sick and stuff that no one knew about. He would leave his PR people out of it. He'd leave his his private security. He'd leave them out of it, and he would just go to the hospital and just hang out with these kids, or he'll go to their house and hang out. And obviously, he didn't want people to know about that because he didn't feel like it needed to be said. He was doing it out of the goodness of his heart. And if someone that is that big, that he was just a megastar in the NBA, can find time to do all this stuff, and then once he retires to basically just start giving back all this his wealth of knowledge and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
It says a lot for his character and everything like that. And the whole Gigi thing, like you guys are saying, that's just something that I can't wrap my head around. And it really is just a tragic loss. And we can't forget the other 7 souls that
I'm gonna
that perished. But
before we move on to our actual, a fun part of the podcast.
Right.
I'm going to just kind of go down the list of the people that passed away to name them because they deserve to be named.
Absolutely.
So it's Sarah Chester, Peyton Chester, Era Zabayan. Hopefully I'm not butchering this name.
Zabayan, I think you're right, yeah.
That's the pilot, right, yeah.
Christina Mauser. It's John Altabelli, Carrie Altabelli, and Alyssa Altabelli. That's the family of the baseball coach. And then Gianna Bryant and Kobe Bryant. So rest in peace to them. And our hearts go out to all their families throughout all this.
Absolutely. That's well put.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Let's get on to
the regularly scheduled program.
Let's get to the nitty-gritty here, folks.
Let's do it.
What we got first on the menu, Ramo?
We decided over the past few weeks that we should try to watch things all together because a lot of times on this podcast we've kind of just done like I watched something, let me review it, and then you guys haven't seen it. So I think
we're trying,
week,
guys.
Yes. We're trying to give you a little more organized, so let's talk sex ed because I know we all watched it.
Yeah.
Pico, you finished the season?
Yeah, I finished it.
Yeah, he finished it. So we can give our full review, full discussion here.
Sure.
I got a quick question about sex ed. Is this one of those things where it's like part A of season 2, and then they're going to do like a part B and kind of like...
No.
I don't know. No, I don't think so.
No, see,
Really?
Sex
Okay.
Ed does their full season like in the when they release their
Right.
chunks,
Really?
unlike
Okay.
Sabrina.
So it's just 8 episodes.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Just
their
it.
that's their
8
season.
episodes. I right off the bat, I'll tell you right now, I like this season a lot.
Yeah, this season was like really
This season
real.
was. It started off a little slow for me, just because like I wasn't sure what the hell they were trying to get at here.
Right.
But I really genuinely liked it. The kid, it seemed like what they were trying to do here is give all of these extra side characters some extra story, give them each something deeper, so that way you kind of can be more invested in each single one of these characters. You've got the blonde chick that last year was just like kind of like a slut, and then this year they give her like the storyline with the guy jizzing on her pants.
The sexual assault.
The sexual assault. You got Maeve and her mom and the whole drug thing. You've got Eric,
all the
love
supporting
triangle.
characters
Yeah, all the
were
supporting characters.
were given more of like a front row or like a
Correct.
or just like class A
It didn't-
treatment as opposed to just the Otis show and everyone else
felt
are his
like
patients.
Correct.
Everyone was brought up to up
Yes.
the bar.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Season 1
that
felt like
very
the
much-
Otis show, and this one felt like
Sorry,
the
it's
school. This season
Right.
felt like the school was the main character.
It felt like a very evolved Degrassi.
Yeah.
I was gonna
with
say
a lot
like
of funky outfits.
it reminded me a lot of like it had like a Euphoria vibe for me.
Yeah, a little bit Euphoria
with
vibe.
more
right.
with more of like the more like in-depth real topics and touching points.
They could have. I mean, honestly, they could have gotten maybe some ideas from
From it,
Euphoria
yeah.
because Euphoria came out and it did a really good job. Like,
Yeah.
it was pretty popular.
I'm just really appreciative because when it comes to the American teen drama, especially nowadays, Euphoria, which I do love, I think it's phenomenal. 13 Reasons Why, I'm not going to give you the exact same appreciation. There's an emphasis on like the dark elements of being a teen when I feel like the second season of Sex Ed was able to touch on a lot of the elements that are probably touched on those two shows, minus the
Right.
drugs, but still do it in a way that still hits home
Right.
and has a comedic layer to it.
Correct.
And has you feeling good at the end.
Yeah.
Because it's
did.
how did you address sexual assault and at the end of it make me go friendship?
Bang.
Like how did you do that? How did you do that? That's Sex Ed. I think it's just a really creative balance that they create between humor, real life shit,
Yes.
and overall being an extremely good platform regarding education on sex.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and a lot of these shows don't do that. A lot of these shows don't really
They
give you
romanticize
an
it.
education
They
on
don't.
sex. It's just like, oh, we fucked, and then the next scene is some other bullshit.
Or just like
know
a
what I mean?
real, or just a really like weird angles montage of a girl in like an expensive bra and the like
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
tossing, and then this is a girl getting like jizz on her pants, or like the other one putting the pillow over her boyfriend's face when she's nutting, or the teacher that can't talk dirty.
Yes. That guy's hilarious.
that was a really funny little
yeah.
Also,
or the
Dick
girl.
Hands Lily.
Yeah. Like you've got just. I did notice that at first it was like, it looks like they're kind of like adding every single kind of LGBT type person in the show just to kind of give everybody this like big spectrum of like kinds of people and kind of sexualities throughout the show. And at first I was like, I don't know, man. It just seems like they're trying too hard. But in the end, I was like, you know what? It worked. It really worked. I liked the way they did it. They did it like it was a lot of just people not knowing what they felt, not knowing how they felt, and eventually kind of figuring out where they were going.
I think it primarily works because your teenage years is where you really are at the beginning of the exploration of those questions.
Yeah.
It's where you are figuring out identity, preferences, kinkiness, maybe, I don't know. But it is where you start experimenting with all those things. And it's probably the moment where all this information is most fucking useful to know.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think we're saying like that
Romeo and Juliet covered in dicks was hilarious.
That was phenomenal adaptation.
No,
wasn't
I
it?
need the whole play.
A phenomenal adaptation. Absolutely.
Play. When she goes, all right, send out the dick hands. I'm like, oh, the vagina hats.
The vagina hats.
Oh my god.
Oh my! I need, and also very, very key on British humor.
Yes.
Like that was so British humor. It's insane. But there's, I think we were talking about just like the giant smorgasbord, I guess, of representation in it. I think that's appropriate. The show is called Sex Education, and it wants to communicate very valid orientations and all that stuff. And I think that it did a fantastic job with doing that. They fucking tackled in a teen dramedy anal douching.
Yes.
Anal douching was fucking hilarious.
There will always someone get these guys an Emmy just for fucking
Just for
talking.
that scene.
Who else? I challenge both of you. What other show has addressed anal douching on a? Come on.
No, that was good.
I honestly couldn't tell you. It was definitely a first for me.
Yeah. At
kudos.
first, I was like, I couldn't believe that they were taking it to that point, and I was like, you know what? But like again, these are things that like a kid that's going through that probably just learned something.
100%.
Yeah, because that out of all the people streaming this thing with their friends and a whole group going, ew, there was one going, yeah, disgusting, right? Okay, so that's
Takes a picture of it, just
Taking
like
notes.
takes a
Just
picture
a picture of the
teacher
screen.
All right, you clench.
The way
and then-
the
Clenched
professor
and
took a picture of the
the
chalkboard.
chalkboard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which actually is a very good joke as to you're probably all laughing at this, but there's probably someone watching
Somebody
who
who
needed to know
definitely
this.
took a picture of that.
Yeah.
Definitely. Like that's actually very helpful.
I felt bad for Eric. I mean, not Eric.
Maeve.
No, Adam.
Adam, man.
I don't really care for Adam.
I don't like Adam. I still don't like him. But they kind of, towards the end, made me kind of feel bad for him.
I felt. Here's the thing with me in that scenario.
Oh no, yeah, Figo, go ahead.
I felt like last year, I think when we talked about it, I was saying like I think he's like my favorite character because he's like he's kind of like the dimwit of the group, and like he's got some
fucking idiot, dude.
But this year I felt like they were like he was like a mute for like the first couple episodes that he was in, and I'm like, did they really just take everything away from him? Like he just like it's his job just to have like a goofy look on his face, and then when they started developing that storyline and everything, the same with you. Like I did actually start feeling very bad for him.
Yeah,
and I found him to be pretty genuine near the end of it.
Right.
But now I want season 3. I want to know what's going to happen with Adam, Eric, and this love triangle. I want to know what's going to happen with freaking the.
Did Raheem not look like a gay Drake?
No, that's what I thought the same shit. I was like, when I first saw it, I was like, where did I find this Drake looking motherfucker?
He just looks
he
like a gay
cheeky
Drake.
fuck.
It's hilarious.
If he gained a few pounds, almost they would look like siblings.
His hair was trash though.
They
That
just
buzz
needed
cut,
to blend it. Blend
that
the
buzz
line.
with no blend is fucking trash.
It was really distracting. It looks like a cap. And like when
It
he's
did look like
walking
a cap.
down,
That jacket was
walking
fire.
home
Though.
with Eric from church.
Yeah.
The way the sun hits
Yeah.
it looks like a hat.
Yeah, it looks
he looks like a
hat.
friar.
It's hideous.
He looks like a friar from a Shakespearean play. I wanted to get the bzzz.
Yeah,
and
it's just
blend.
just really trash.
Blend that in.
I'm trying to think of any other like big moments that I can remember.
Well, I think
the party was really good.
That was hilarious.
The
throwing
party
up
was awesome.
throwing up in the cup while trying to explain anal douching
Yeah, that was good.
is key.
That was really good.
It was. I don't
I
believe
think-
that. Go ahead.
I think the show also, besides educating on sex things, and I'm just remembering our own family living classes
Oh yeah, family living.
and sex and our own sex ed classes, was that they didn't just educate about sex practices; they also educated about the importance of maturity and engaging those things. And now people are going like, "Fuck it, just fuck if you want to." Like,
Right.
yeah, fine, whatever. But there's very good points. One, take a shot in this episode every single time you hear me say anal douching, where they tell him, like, if you're not comfortable talking to your boyfriend about that, then you probably aren't ready to do that.
Right.
And that's
huge. Great point.
Yeah.
If you're not able to have an honest conversation about sex with your partner. And then second, with Eric.
Yeah, but who the fuck does that?
I do.
Let's just smash.
What the hell?
Come on,
Let's just smash.
Let's
just get it in, bro.
No, communicate.
The majority of the time that shit happens, especially on one night stands, people are just fucking
You're
wasted.
talking about a one night stand, not a relationship like these kids have.
Yeah, you're talking about Otis and freaking what's her face.
And guess what? That's why most one night stands suck.
All right.
Yeah, you don't remember that they suck because you were probably wasted.
Come on, man. People have sober sex, Rob.
True. But
People have
hammered.
sober adult sex.
Sacks. Sober adult sacks.
But no, yeah, I get it. You're right.
And then for Eric, which was I think a really key point, was his mom telling him, like, I don't like your relationship with that guy because you're not yourself. You're trying to be someone else.
Right.
Which brings into the question, do you date or do you go with someone who makes you change or someone who makes you grow?
Ooh, deep.
There's a difference between those two things. Right. And I think I'm not a fan of Adam either. I'm not a fan of either. I would say go read some books and forget all of this until you're in college.
He's an idiot.
But I do think that the healthier choice for him was Adam. They genuinely laughed together.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
And Raheem has hat hair, so I don't really know what to do with that.
yeah, but Raheem was like
About him.
about him. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That just goes
but
to show,
Raheem was
man.
also a little too about him. Do you want to be my boyfriend?
Yeah,
do you want to kiss?
He was a little pushy. He was a
I
little
love
A little
you.
bit.
I'm
a little
like,
bit.
Yeah, it was a little pushy. You don't want to have somebody who's like who's already telling you, you know, I love you at like right off the rip. You know what I mean?
no. What is it from 40-year-old version? You plant the seed,
And then you fuck the plant.
and then you let it go into the plant, and then you fuck the plant. It's what that scene aggravated me, but at the same time, it's one of the truest things that's ever been said.
Absolutely, 100%.
Plant the seed,
and
and then abandon it.
yeah, and then eventually when the plant is grown, you come back and you fuck the plant.
When they're full Helga G. Pataki over
Correct.
it. Don't fuck the plant. Like then you
you
then
fuck
you
the plant.
Then
don't
you have to fuck the plant. You got to give it to that plant.
Then you
good.
split the trunk and you fuck the plant.
Okay, that was graphic.
split the
That was
trunk.
graphic, Romel. Please.
Split so you get splinter dick? What does that even mean?
Yeah, you know what? Let's
You know
let's
what?
leave the
Next
plant analogy
topic. We're already
behind,
at like
please.
40 minutes. We're talking about like fucking trunk
fucking
shit.
plants and shit.
Sex Ed was good.
I give
Great
you
show.
Can't wait for season 3.
Yeah.
Also, nothing against the handicap, obviously. But fuck Wheelchair Kid. I don't like him.
Yeah, he was a
He
piece of
deleted
shit,
the
bro.
voicemail.
It's
not for me.
It's not, unfortunate.
It's a no for me, dog.
It's really unfortunate that they made that kid a handicapped kid because I don't want to hate him,
But now
But
I
I
have to.
hate
but
him.
he's a piece of shit.
I have to. And you know,
But-
you knew
and
that's
then,
exactly
I'll
what was
play
going to
devil's
happen.
advocate. I'll play devil's advocate because of his situation. Maybe it's hard to make friends. Maybe it's hard to connect with people. And here
Don't be a scumbag though.
I know, but he's also what 15, 16. It's the age of mistakes.
Yeah,
so
I
like,
guess.
I can understand wanting to make a selfish choice because someone might actually care about me, and I don't want to lose that. And
Fair.
he knows and recognizes that Otis is a genuine. Want to know what he is? It just hit me. Otis is Ross. Maeve is Rachel.
Oh, Jesus.
And
Oh,
Wheelchair
Jesus.
Kid is Emily.
Jesus Christ. And a friend.
Is it Emily though?
Wheelchair Kid is Emily. I don't want you to see her anymore, Ross. That's what that is. He's Emily.
He just sucks. Don't. Yeah, he just sucks.
Also, is it offensive to say Wheelchair Kid?
Yeah, we don't want to say wheelchair kid. Let's just say
He's-
kid. The kid.
The kid.
we
The
The
don't-
kid with the braces. The kid with the braces.
There
kid
we
with
go.
the braces. Okay.
Yeah, kid with the braces.
Good. All right.
So, yeah, season 2 was great. Can't wait for season 3.
Season 2 was great. What do you guys give it as in terms of a score?
4.
Yeah, four's pretty dead
Yeah,
on
I think
for
we're
me.
a consensus.
4, yeah.
It would have been 3, but honestly, the last 2 episodes were
Yeah.
what made it 4.
Very good. Very good.
I think it became a 4 for me. At
Oh,
the party.
party.
The
No.
party is when it became a 4.
So the last 3 episodes became a 4. Yeah. The first
okay,
5, I
cool.
agree with you. They're a little like slow, but it's still fun. But the
Yeah, I
part
mean, I
at
guess
the
because
end
they were
just
really
great,
were
right?
building up to what was going to be at the end because they had to give us kind of like the slow burn there.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So all fours all around. Very beautiful. Very nice.
Next, Rom.
Jesus Christ. What was I going to say? Okay, so those are the shows.
One show.
Well, one show. We saw. No, there's another show. That's why I said shows.
Spit it out.
Aaron Hernandez.
Documentary.
Oh, that's going to take up
Documentary.
the rest of the episode.
It's not because we're not gonna spend too much time on this.
All right.
It's I don't want to spend too much time
Ramel,
on
as
this.
the resident gay, you know I have a lot of things to say.
I
but
know
all
you
right.
do. I know you do. But we're gonna just try to keep this to a minimum.
All right.
Aaron Hernandez doc came out on Netflix. I would say it happened probably 2 or 3 weeks ago at this point. Yeah.
So we're already late to this party.
So we're very late to this party
'Cause
which
we
is
take
why
random
I-
hiatuses.
which is why I want to kind of blow past this because
Sure.
we've already missed the boat on the conversation about this.
Whose fault is that?
So the Aaron Hernandez doc came out. Aaron Hernandez was a football player for the
New England Patriots.
He was a tight end. He killed a guy, possibly 3.
He killed the other 2.
I don't know, man. I don't know if
Killed
he
one
did.
guy.
He
and
killed Odin
possibly
Lloyd.
3, allegedly, and then killed himself in jail.
Right.
So the Netflix documentary comes out. It's 3 parts. And from what we get, basically he, did kill
He killed Odin
what's his
Lloyd,
name?
yeah.
Odin Lloyd, because all of the evidence was
The evidence was
incredibly obvious.
embarrassing.
He was not very smart about doing this.
I don't think that he was smart. I think, well, yeah, he was very smart, but at the same time, they highlight a little bit throughout the 3 episodes is that you get away with so much that you really don't think that anything can touch you.
Yeah.
So you're careless because you also think you're untouchable.
Don't walk into your fucking house with a gun, you dumb bastard. Like, what are you
Don't dump the
fucking
body
clip-
down the
clip-
street.
The clip where he walks in with the gun and the lawyer's like to the girlfriend.
Can you tell me what that is?
Can you tell me what that is? It looks like a black blob to me. I'm like, Jesus.
Which brings me,
You know what?
Which
But
brings me to my
kudos to
first
that
point.
woman.
Exactly. That's my first point. The
What-
women in his life.
What commitment to her man.
Oh, absolutely.
Ride or
That
die
was
chick.
insane.
Yeah.
Him and his, what was it, his aunt?
It was. No, his aunt was the one that.
Yeah, I mean, his baby mama and his aunt, the two like positive
2
women,
ride or dies.
the 2
Yeah.
positive women in his life were like seriously just ride or die people.
Yeah.
Because you got his childhood friend snitching on their relationship and shit, saying like, "Hey, you probably shouldn't have done all." Like, come on, guys! Like,
Yeah. Well, so basically, the takeaways that I got from this are: 1, he did kill this person.
100%.
2, possibly killed the other 2 guys earlier in his career. 3, he was, I don't know, bi, I guess, whatever you want to call it.
I guess I'll wait till I'm called on to.
Yeah,
address
and then 4, his girlfriend, who is the sister of the guy that he
Killed.
she was the
sister
sister of
of
the
the wife
girlfriend of the
right.
guy that he killed.
There you go.
That sounds like a weird.
absurd.
But the thing is, the motive is I still don't understand the motive. The defense.
I never understood the motive at
I
all.
don't think
They
anyone
really don't
did.
have
I
one.
think if the defense were smart, his defense, which they weren't. I think if the defense attorney was smart, the only way you could have maybe won that case was to really start gaslighting based on the motive.
Right.
What motive did he have to kill that guy?
Apparently, the other attorney that got him off of the other charges.
Yeah.
He was not in this documentary. He didn't mention it, but there was another documentary that was on TV where he was like, I really wish he would have hired me for the first case because the defense was just morons and there was a clear way of getting him off. And
Oh, it was.
And
That
it-
was the guy that got Casey Anthony off.
yeah. So he was saying like there was a way to getting him off, and it's pretty clear as day if you come from my standpoint as an attorney.
Right.
But he's like, because Aaron's not here, that conversation I won't have because we had it in private, and what makes me so upset that he killed himself because he's like, I'm pretty sure if we appealed it, I was gonna get him off.
Right.
So I mean, it's Jesus, I don't know.
The only thing about the documentary that for me was like that they really tried to stick in the angle about the sexuality. As like the big gay ranter here, even I say, who cares?
Right.
I don't see
I think
how that really applied.
What they were
to...
doing, I think, what they were doing there is that they were trying to throughout the documentary give us reasons as to why a person would snap and do things like this.
For me, by the end of the episode, when they get through the brain autopsy and they reveal that he actually really did have severe
CTE,
progressed.
yeah.
What is it called? CTE.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, there's your fucking reason. If all the symptoms are that the people become irrational, sporadic, and do all this stuff, like his brain's fucked, like that can kind of explain.
Right.
And his fucked up childhood, 1 + 1 = everything.
I just think that it was a collection of all of the things.
I think
I
thing
think
of
sexuality does.
But here's the thing.
I know you say he's not gay, and that's fine. Maybe he's bi, or maybe he just experimented for a little while. But that at some point has to also take some sort of
manifest into like a shame or a thing.
Into something.
Oh, well, here's the thing. What is homophobia? Yes, it is the subconscious inclination to not just desire it, but like physically. There is a thing about like the thing about men, boners. Like the thing will trigger erection. Like that is a physical instinct.
Yeah.
So there is the awareness of that it lives in the subconscious. So that creates an anger, a shame, and a frustration. And then there's the thing of if you actually acted on it, like
so you mean like if homophobes are like looking at a dude and they're like, oh, like, fuck that guy, but like they have a boner because they think the guy is attractive.
Well, it's it's not. They don't get a boner because they think the guy's attractive.
They get a boner because they hate the
maybe
guy.
if they're
Like,
watching, if they watch gay stuff, or I don't know, or maybe they're watching straight porn and then they don't know if their eyes are lingering a little bit to the left.
There are angry boners.
There is a lot of angry boners.
I'm sure.
Get an angry boner.
Actually, there's fucking monsters. There's a lot of angry boners for many reasons. But it's like the thing is that I agree that can manifest like deep as a shame. And maybe he did experiment with his high school friend, but I also think like,
do you trust his high school friend? I don't trust that kid.
I don't know, man.
The only thing where
he seems like a real clout chaser. I'm
doing that face that the guy in the GIF with the cup is doing.
Wait, what?
I'm making that face of that GIF with the guy that's holding the cup. It's like, I don't know.
That's that's literally the words that were about to come out of my mouth. I was like, there was one moment in particular when towards the end of the third episode, he goes like, Aaron was proud of his sexuality. I'm like, no, he wasn't. Because
he was just sandbagging him for getting all the tattoos to not look gay, for God's sake.
Like, no, because if he were proud of it, that would have been out and said and not and like actually represented.
It seemed to me like that guy was hella gay, even though he says he's bi.
He could be bi. It
seems like to me like he was hella gay and in love with Aaron, and then was hella jealous when he left, and then started changing, and was like, "That's not the man I love."
That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
Not the man. You were children. I'm sorry. Like I was talking to a friend about this earlier. Like, remember when we were all 14 listening to JoJo saying "Get Out, Leave" and all that shit?
Gab.
So stupid.
Some people can feel love at an early age.
I agree, but the majority, it's some dumb, shallow shit.
You don't know that, man.
My thing with him is like, okay, fine. You know what, Ramel? Let's go on your boat. Get me a seat on that boat. I'll sit down. Yes, he was in love with Aaron. Fine, but the thing is, it's such an age of figuring stuff out and learning crap. He said it to himself at one point where he was like, at that age, we weren't hanging out with girls after school.
Yeah.
Right. So who are you going to experiment with when your hormones are raging?
As soon as he said, we just did a lot of horseplay. I'm like, yeah. All right, here it is. Let's go. Come on.
And
I also think it's a double, and it is a
here
double.
It comes. Let's go.
It's a little bit of a double standard. Oh, girls can experiment with each other and do that stuff, and it's fine. If a boy does it, we have a fucking problem.
You know what? That's right. That's very true. That's very true.
And now I'm completely for if boys are doing that stuff. Like, make sure it's someone you absolutely trust. Make sure that shit's not going to go leaking around because guess what? A guy can't do that and come back. It just can't. It's just not the way society works.
Yeah. Once you go gay, you can't go back.
You can't go back. So I know anyone could listen to this and be like, you bitch. But it's like, look, I'm just talking about the way this fucking cruel-ass double standard society works.
Yeah.
I hope it's evolving. Maybe it is evolving. But that wasn't the case in fucking 2003 when these kids were canoodling. Right. So I think with that, and I also find it weird, like, does anyone else want to speak to this alleged bisexuality? Only this one high school kid?
Right.
Singing the Titanic theme song in the name of Aaron Hernandez. Like, does anyone else in the stadium want to get up and talk about when they boned him? Like, I just don't.
Yeah, it doesn't. It seemed like
Well, you have that guy coming from jail saying that they were lovers.
Yeah,
in
so
jail.
it was just the high school kid, the high school quarterback. Which honestly, I don't even believe that he was even a quarterback.
Yeah, that guy was fucking that.
Well, you can't make that up.
That's not
if
here
he
or there.
Was
Rob.
he was?
What?
That's not here or there. Plus, it's really hard to fucking miss a target. That's literally when you see the pictures of Hernandez standing next to like regular high school kids. He's a grown ass man.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I could have played quarterback and been a fucking been all state.
So it was either that kid and then the guy in jail. But like,
But has anyone
jail
ever-
doesn't count because
That's a whole other fucking
That's a
bag of
whole
cats
other-
that
yeah,
I feel
that's
like
a whole other thing.
And it's
There's
a very,
nobody at
I feel
Florida,
like that
right?
alone is an episode of this.
yeah, an episode of Curb.
Of an episode of Curb, because it's one of those blatant things in your face I feel no one's acknowledging,
Yeah.
and it's annoying. But what did the guy from jail? Has anyone ever talked to him? Has he ever interviewed?
I think
I don't know.
Well, I don't think people want to interview him. To be honest with you.
I mean, they don't want to interview one
so-
of the things that Aaron Hernandez
Yeah, that
called
was
it.
some fucking.
All right, but that's all right. But I'm actually I didn't even think that was really funny. I think it was actually
it's fucked up. Are you kidding me?
it's
terrible.
fucked up.
It's
But I
super
think
fucked up.
it's such a if anything
the
in this
conversation with his mom was fucked up.
if anything in this documentary served as evidence that maybe he was suppressing bisexuality, it wasn't the quarterback in love with him. It wasn't the jail rumors. It was him talking about the transgender person as thing.
Yes. Yeah.
It was because it showed such a deep disdain for people that are other, for men that are other. And for his girlfriend to call him out on the phone like that, which, by the way, you were in love and defended a murderer, so like you have some things to work out.
Exactly.
But,
Yeah.
but on the other hand,
yeah,
like,
she's not necessarily
a moral compass
yeah,
here.
correct.
But what it doesn't change that what she said to him speaks true. Like, you're in a position to be a leader and not say those kinds of things, and
Right.
like you shouldn't call them that they're people. So, but his reaction to that, it just is more to the testament of that's the only time in those 3 episodes where I thought maybe, and then there's
I mean, in his defense about the leader thing, though, it's not like those conversations were public. They were on the phone
Right.
to his girlfriend in jail.
right, but then you should still try to live by example, because then if he tried to be a leader, like in another sense, and then was saying that stuff, then you're just a liar.
Well, yeah, of course, but I mean, everyone's a liar. All celebrities are liars.
Right.
Most of them.
Not Kobe.
No, definitely not Kobe. R.I.P.
But that kind of that stuff was just like
Yeah, no, it's
that's the only time. And I don't know, like maybe you're trying to switch it around, like maybe he killed the guy because the guy saw him like banging a butthole. I don't know.
That's what. Well, they were saying that one of the
Possible
reasons that
motive.
he could have. One of the motives could be that because what's his name found out that maybe he had some sexual tendencies. But it's like, who cares at that point?
No, but that's also a complete in whatever like little dabbling I've done in the legal field, like working in it. It's like that's not, you have nothing to back that up.
Yeah,
That is
yeah.
total speculation.
Right.
You have no text, no calls, no
Right.
video. There's nothing you have to prove to that testament. And if no one here can like claim anything or show any proof
So
to
did
that,
they really not have any motive at all? Towards
They
the
don't
end of
really
it?
have anything, no.
No, for the Otis killing, not really. The only thing they have is the absolutely overwhelming, embarrassing evidence that it absolutely was him. My God, if I were him,
Rental car in his name, bullet shells in the rental car.
the fucking the shoes that match his at the scene of the crime,
Cotton
the
candy
place where the body was
Bubblicious.
dumped, like very close to his own house, the box that was that is caught on camera of the wife taken to the dumpster, the
the video of his girlfriend the video of his girlfriend dumping the box that obviously had the fucking camera shit in it.
No, it was the
so
gun
fucking
apparently.
funny.
Like the
the
gun.
blue bubblicious gum
Yeah.
that was recorded at the gas station. Like the list goes on.
They
and
found-
if I were in the courtroom, I would literally be pulling my hair in the
Wuffy?
back. Like
They found a blunt next to the body that had his saliva on it.
The blunt with his saliva on it.
This is
and
the worst
they
crime
also
ever.
came to show that the dude was a complete weed head.
Yeah.
You did it.
Yeah.
All right. Listen, this is
Let's just move on.
My takes on this whole thing are like basically 3 bullet points. One, for whatever reason, I almost feel like they threw his sexuality into this documentary almost to kind of make you feel bad and be like, oh, well, I can understand it. It's not going to work with me. This homeboy killed at least one dude.
Yeah. I agree.
feel-
I don't think that the sexuality had anything to do with the,
Yeah.
the killing.
I really just think it was
the
brought
only
in.
person I feel. Sorry, Fico.
No, I was just saying, I really only think it was brought in to almost have like a sympathetic thing for like the viewer.
I agree.
I do, and the thing is,
To add
on
add a little sympathy, add a little humanism to it.
on a humanism level, I do feel sympathy for the child teenager Aaron Hernandez.
Yes, not the adult
before poor
murderer.
choices were
Yeah.
made. Because at the end of the day, it is not our abilities that define us; it is our choices.
Correct.
And once you make those kind
Isn't
of
that
a
Spider-Man-
Dumbledore quote,
Spider-Man-
bitch.
I thought it was a Spider-Man quote.
No, that's with great power comes great responsibility, you
yeah,
asshole.
yeah.
That's a Dumbledore quote, and it's one of the best quotes of all time. It's not your abilities; it's your choices. Once he made those choices, like you made your own bed.
Right.
But I do feel bad for the young child for what he went through with his mom. If there was an abusive relationship between his father and his mother, that he had to view that. If it's true, and this is the one thing where it says, I think his brother speaks to this, and that's has I guess a little bit more weight as legitimacy, where he says, or was his brother? You guys can correct me. That when he was younger,
brother-
he saw his female cousins doing cheerleading, and that he said, "Oh, I want to be a cheerleader too," because he thought it was so great.
I remember that
And
scene,
then his
yeah.
father probably beat the shit out of him for it. I wrote this in the review, which you can also read on the podcast on the site, podcast.com, because I think it's super important. When you enforce those homophobic or things on children because they express. Right, Figo still there?
Yeah.
Express a liking towards things that are traditionally feminine.
Right.
You are insidiously sexualizing your child.
Right.
They are children. They are not they're not thinking about vaginas and peepees. Like that's not what
Correct.
they're doing.
Yeah.
They're just playing. They're having fun. They're just exploring shit. You're projecting your own fears, your own anxieties, your own hatred, your own biases onto a soul that has no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
Right.
So on that level, again, I feel bad for the child because
All right,
in
sorry
so
about
many
that.
contexts to what happened to him, so many
Yeah, I'm
things were
recording
like,
now.
did you
I'm
ever really
15
have a
seconds
chance?
Yes. Yeah.
And then before you went down the road, you made all those poor choices. But adult Aaron Hernandez, again, that's the big.
Like, what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? Like, it's just like. Hold on. We'll take a pause before we move on to the next subject because we have technical difficulties again. Okay. All right. We're back.
It wouldn't be our show without some technical difficulties.
Of course. Okay. So that was Aaron Hernandez. It is what it is.
Right.
Do we usually rate documentaries or?
I mean, we could.
No, I really don't have a rating for this.
Yeah, I don't have a rating for. I think
was
it's just more. I think it's just more informative. So
Yeah, I was gonna inform is the word. I would just give it 2 nods and be like, okay, that's
yeah.
informative. and
I mean,
then
I
move
would
on.
definitely recommend people to watch it.
Oh,
It's
for sure.
interesting. It's definitely interesting.
Sure. Because regardless of whether he was a bi man or not, I
Yeah.
think they still do open the can of words on machismo, sexuality,
Yeah, sure.
men and gay men. They do.
Yeah.
Homosexuality in sports, NFL, any sport. I think that's still good. And just what I'm sorry, I keep forgetting the acronym. CTE.
Yes.
CTE, which
Which is a
apparently
big
is a
problem.
big
Yeah, it's a big
problem.
problem, yeah.
So let's talk about that shit and all that. It's good.
Yeah,
3 episodes.
Definitely
Have a
watch it.
Sunday
It's
over.
only 3 episodes. It's really easy. 3
And you know
hours.
what? It's pretty interesting for what it's worth. It is.
Yeah.
It is a
Yeah,
pretty
it
good
is, for sure.
doc.
It's great.
Okay, let's end the show with one of the movies that we saw. Since we did say we were going to try to watch these Oscar-nominated movies, we all saw Parasite.
Yeah.
I think I did kind of speak on this at one point in a previous episode when I did see it.
Before we made the promise to actually all
Correct.
watch it
Yeah.
before we talk about it.
But this time, you guys both saw it.
Yes.
What are you guys' thoughts?
All right. Off the bat, I'm always so quick to talk. I'm sorry. Fico, you go first.
No. Go.
No, you go. Okay.
Because I literally just finished watching it like a little while ago. So
The thing about the movie is, first takeaway is to speak a little bit about what the director said at the Golden Globes. Like, if you could just get past like the 2-inch wall of subtitles, you could really be opened up to like a great film. The thing about the movie is that it spoke to a universal message, like about social class, economic hardship, frustrations on like your position, the haves and the have-nots. That is a universal story, and for it to take place in South Korea and to find that relatability, essentially, well, that's the greatest power of film, is it not? It educates you or teaches you stories and helps you understand, or if it's done well, not just a caricature of a group of people. Understand different cultures that were very much at the same time all the same.
Right.
I think it did a phenomenal job of doing that. Also, to credit to it, it told a comedy, not suspense, but an anxiety-inducing
Thriller,
a little thriller comedy, drama, all in one, and just all perfectly mixed. Those things weren't chunky vegetables in a pot. That was blended. That was together.
So perfectly
blended. That how I will never get out of my head. He already knows what I'm about to say. The absolute horror that bestowed upon my very fucking shaking soul, and that I was also laughing at the same time, was to see the bunker guy as the little kid's eating his cake, and his eyes just come up from the stairs in the dark staircase.
Oh yeah,
that was bone chilling and hilarious at the exact same time. Yeah. On that alone, I'm like, the SAGs, the Golden Globes, that shit deserved it. Clean it up, baby.
Clean it up, yeah.
The cast was phenomenal. Again, at the same time, you don't know the language that they're speaking, but you still are able to internalize and feel their performances of what they're trying to communicate. Yep. The girl who played the sister just did a fantastic job. I thought she was a breakout, honestly, for the movie. The sister, the one who died.
Yeah.
The emotional impact. There's certain transitions in the editing when they're going from the sinking apartment, the flooded apartment, floating down the street. I say, if this was done, this is my comparison, comparison. If this was done in the U.S., would I think it would be that big of a deal? I don't know. I think something that makes this so special is that it is foreign. Right. It is from the same way that I think about a little bit in context of a movie like Black Panther being a Marvel movie. That is very much a Marvel movie. What makes it special is that it's an majority all black cast and and made by a black director. It's to see human stories of quote unquote minority groups told at eye level and allowing them to represent themselves in entirety in dichotomy and contradictions. Yep. And to have that kind of a platform means that all different kinds of stories that we've seen before feel new and fresh because we're seeing them in these different lenses.
Right.
And I thought the movie was fantastic. There was an article that came out a week or two ago commenting on people saying, "Oh, they should make an American version of this," and the title to it was perfect. Americanizing a foreign film does not make it valid.
Right.
Oh yeah.
The film is valid and good as it exists. As it is, it doesn't need an American version for us to accept it.
Correct. Yeah.
So I think or to connect to it. It's because that could have easily been an LA family.
Yeah, easily.
Fair.
Easily could have been an LA family.
Right,
New York.
Absolutely. Yeah.
New York, and it's also a story that, in even more universal, I think we even talked about it. That could be a Caracas family, and
they could have made that. They could have made that movie any kind of family, and it would have been.
It would have hit just
the same amount.
Exactly, it would have hit just as hard.
That's all I'll say. Fico, take it away. I'm sorry.
No. The movie was like, I was waiting the whole time for like something, like horrific to happen, and it's like, all right. So like when you start to get to like the crescendo of the movie and like they're pinned down at the house, I was like like shaking, being like, how the fuck are they gonna get out of this? Are they gonna murder the family? That's gotta be
when they're all under the fucking table.
Yeah, so I'm like,
and the
waiting.
two parents are like about to fuck.
The anxiety.
You're like,
Yeah.
Jesus.
The smell.
The smell.
Oh no, the smell. Yeah,
The smell thing was. I'm like,
when the little boy kept saying, "Oh, they all smell the same."
I was like, this is
I was
jigs
like,
up.
fuck.
I'm like, they're fucked.
Jigs up, man. I mean, the idea that they had and how they went about getting them all jobs in the house and all that.
Yes,
Great.
so well done.
so
The
smart.
maid, the peach allergy
Yeah.
thing.
Oh, my
was
peach allergy.
hilarious and dark.
It was great. And then you start understanding what's gonna happen. Like when the old housekeeper comes back home, I'm like, this bitch is gonna murder him. This is
yeah,
it.
and
That's
she
what
looks
I
like
thought.
shit.
Here we
And she
go.
looks like shit.
Yeah, and she's like laughing hysterically. It's like, oh, yo, this
Yeah.
bitch is gonna kill them. Like, I get it now. That doesn't happen. And then so finally, like the last like 15 minutes of the movie, shit finally hits the fan.
Yep.
I thought the main character, the kid Kevin or Ki-woo, whatever his actual name was, like I thought he was obviously dead because he just got bludgeoned by a fucking rock twice. And then homeboy literally makes it upstairs, stabs a few people. I mean, it was crazy. And then I just loved the way they ended it and how like the dad's like, I knew I had to do this. I knew I had to sneak back in and I had to live. The only question I have is when the kids are writing the note and like you see like the dad walk up from the basement and hug them and stuff.
That's the same question that Gab had too.
Was that real or was that just a depiction?
We have no idea.
All right, I
There's
love
no
that.
way to know. We don't know if the clip that we saw of the dad walking out and seeing the son with the mom, if that's what actually happened, or if that's what he was writing in the note and explaining what he wanted
exactly,
to happen.
and he's just thinking that
And imagining it.
And for that, I love it.
We don't know that.
Or maybe or it did happen, but then the question on the flip side becomes: Did he get the money honestly?
That's the other question. Yes.
Right.
Did the kid actually go to college,
Work
get a
hard,
job,
work hard, put in the time?
He puts
or
that.
did he con his way
He
to
had
it?
that rock again, didn't he? And he puts it like in a creek or something.
I don't know if he kept the rock.
Because there's a scene.
He put it in a creek. He put it
threw it
in
in the
a
water.
creek.
Yeah, he did.
And that's what makes me think like it might have happened. He used that rock to get all the money he needed, and he used that rock to get all the advances he
I
needed.
guess. Yeah.
And once he got it, then he spared himself of it.
I
But
mean,
don't know.
I think that if the movie is if it was the comedy that I thought it was, then they could go the route of the kid continued to con
100%.
to get to that point. And a part of me thinks that that's probably what they're going to do or what they did because HBO got the rights to it's not. He didn't say that it was a sequel, but he also didn't say that it was.
He said it was an in-between.
It's an in-between. So I'm assuming that whatever the show that they're going to put on HBO is, it's going to be, in my opinion, probably going to be the life of this kid after this happened
To get to where he was.
to get to where he wants to be.
And I'm good with that.
So we see if he's conning his way, which I think he's going to do.
I think so too. I think once you're that deep in it, I don't think you can do it honestly.
Like these people were con artists.
They're con artists, yeah.
And that's
he
what
wrote
makes it great.
scripts for how to like lie.
Right.
Like I think that I don't think you.
But no, man, the movie was fucking awesome. It was absolutely hilarious.
it was really
Not
funny.
film of the year,
also thrillery, kind of scary, creepy at times.
I'm never gonna get those eyes out of my fucking
Bro,
head.
how nice was that house?
So sick.
What?
Oh
what
my
night? The house?
How nice was
God.
the house? Sick.
The kitchen, like with the bottles and stuff.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
the fuck? It was great.
Yeah, and then like even like the where they were watching the little boy with his tent and like just like the big view,
Big
of
windows.
The windows. So sick.
That kid's bedroom was fucking dope. Like,
Yeah.
oh man, I see
but yeah.
why. I see why it's nominated.
It's not going to win movie of the year,
I don't think so, but it was
but
a great
it's
ride.
definitely going to win international movie of the year.
Oh yeah,
It's going to win foreign film
I think so. Yeah.
because it's nominated for both.
Kind of like how what Roma did last year.
Yeah, it's going to definitely win foreign film. I don't think that it's going to win because I really don't think that it's going to beat 1917. but we'll see.
Yeah, for sure.
Fico, we'll talk about on the next episode. We'll talk Knives Out.
Yes.
Because we both did see that.
Check
I
that
would like
movie
to
out.
discuss 1917, so I would really like for you both to see it.
We got and because then
And the Oscars are literally next Sunday.
not
this
this
Sunday,
coming
but
Sunday, but the
next
following.
Sunday.
Yeah, because
I know that I just saw that on Apple TV. Not only is Parasite on there for renting and buying. Ford versus Ferrari is also on there.
Oh, it's on there, right?
So I'm probably going to give that a whirl.
Yeah, I'll probably watch
this
that
weekend.
within this week.
Yeah.
So we can probably talk that too. Yeah, and then next week maybe we'll probably get into the Curb episodes because Curb season 10 started, and we are 2 episodes in. It's actually pretty good.
Nice.
And next week, or I think this week, is when what's that show? That show called Miracle Workers.
That
returns.
starts again.
Oh yeah,
Return.
We gotta watch that.
And that's a weekly show. So these are things that we'll do weekly, discuss weekly.
Nice.
But all right, cool.
All right. Well, we're set up.
All right, I'll see you later, and we'll talk. We'll come back next week.
Awesome.
See you
Later.
next week.
All right, see ya.